It's all about increasing the lifetime value of your patient. So after you acquire somebody, how do you actually get them to spend more with you or actually mean more with you? The reason why that's very important is because who can ever spend the most to acquire a customer ultimately wins, right? That's Dan Kennedy 101. If you're not familiar with Dan Kennedy, do a quick little research. You'll see that he's a huge marketing dude, big deal, kind of an awesome dude. But frankly, the more you can spend with somebody, the more you can actually outspend your marketplace or your competitor, which then means you can spend more than them, and then they go out of business because they can't spend enough, and you can spend it to the moon to acquire somebody. That's why this becomes very, very important. So like I said, there are 6 different ways. I'm going to walk through each one of them right now. I'm going to give you a couple ideas as we go through it too. Now, the number one way and the easiest way is just to straight up increase prices, right? Now, I know we work with a variety of clinics from physical therapists to chiropractors to med spas and so on. So if you're an insurance clinic, you might be like, Dan, I am held captive to what the insurance company will pay me. I totally get that. We'll look at 5 other ways to increase their lifetime value of them, and price doesn't need to be one. Or option number 2 is some of your cash-based services, which you should have a few. You should increase the price of those. Very much so, very possibly. Eric Brawler just made an amazing post in the group all about how the bartender was serving $99 Alaskan king crab, right? So very simply put, just increase the price and say it. One of the ways that you know that you can ask for the price is how high of a number can you say without cracking a smile? That's like the number one way. So how do you just say high numbers without smirking at the end of it? And that's how much you should charge. Once again, let's say you're doing dry needling, and I'm just giving you small numbers and we're gonna go big, right? Let's say you do $10 per dry needling session. You acquire 5 people. The next 5 people you ask for $20. You acquire 5 people, then you ask for 30 and so on all the way through. But you just slowly increase your price of your cash services that you do have control over, right? If you're a cash-based PT, just increase your cost per session. If it's normally $150, go to $260 or $165. If it's normally $175, go to $200. Push a little bit on it, because you'll never know how much someone is willing and able to spend until they're actually either saying no to you or until they're swiping that credit card right through your machine. Very simply put, increase price, the easiest overall way to increase lifetime value of a patient. Next one is reduce expenses. So why this is important is because frankly, you're talking about there's lifetime gross profit, which is the amount of profit you make before taxes, but excluding expenses, right? So if you could find ways to, exclude some expenses or make expenses go down a little bit, you can actually spend more to acquire that person, because now let's say normally your expense for a patient is $100, right? So the patient's normal value is $1,000. Typically your expenses on that patient's $100. You make $900 typically gross profit using basic numbers. With that said, you might be willing to spend an additional to get $900. You might be willing to spend $300, let's say. So your expenses are $100, your ad spend or your cost per acquisition is $300. That's $400 right there. If you decreases your expenses by $50, you can actually increase your ad spend to acquire someone by $50. So now you can spend $350 to acquire somebody, have $50 in expenses, and then once again, you still make the same amount on the back end. That's just a little bit difference. Or you just decrease your expenses by $50, you still spend $300 to acquire somebody, you made an additional $50, right? Like, that's simple. So definitely walk through these ways. You're probably spending money where you don't need to. I'm definitely at fault for that. There's like softwares we paid for that we didn't need to. You have just different little expenses. You should be tracking all those little expenses through like a bookkeeper, and then basically just eliminating stuff that you frankly don't use or need anymore. Next one is increase the number of purchases that the patient uses. This is pretty straightforward. If you're an insurance PT clinic, you typically try to get 10 to 12 visits. Make sure you get that 12th visit, and then make sure what you do an amazing job, or your team does, so then they come back in 2 years again or a year later when they need more PT, right? Very straightforward. Chiropractors, just get them to keep coming for their maintenance program. Very, very simple, right? Med spas, if you offer Botox or cryo, making sure that they're coming back for your services, just increasing that number of times they purchase by a little bit, right? Instead of 12 visits, you get a 13th visit. It's an additional $100. You do that for 10 patients, it's an additional $1,000, right? Stuff like that matters, but the question is, are you tracking that? Because the only way you can increase the number of purchases or the number of times someone walks through your doors is by actually tracking that number. So make sure this is tracked. Make sure this is tracked. Make sure this is tracked. Sweet. So that's our first 3 ways, guys. I'm going to hop on really quick, see if anyone has any questions about the first 3 ways. If you do, toss them in the comments. Alfred, what's going on, man? Not sure if anyone else is hopping in here, but as you hop in, if you have any questions, by all means, go ahead and throw them in the comments. And it looks like this is actually kind of hard to see on my opposite side. So no problem. I'll just say them very loudly so you can see them okayly. All right, guys. Next one is upsell. This is very important. So what I like to say for upsells, for let's say you can create, I'm trying to think what would be a good upsell in like a medical. For like med spas, it's pretty simple. Your upsell is you're just going to sell them from like Botox to fillers is like basic upsell. For PT, let's say if you typically do per session in your cash-based PT, just creating a bundle and upselling that at a higher price, and then getting them to pay as much as possible for it or in full. That's like a basic upsell. You're just having them buy more of the same stuff. Kind of goes into the number of purchases, but you just charge more for it. Bundle in some stuff. If it's a good instance, for instance, a cash-based PT or in a chiro, an upsell could be instead of just getting chiropractic care or PT care, you also get a dietitian plan, you get a weight loss plan, you get a workout plan, and you get something else, right? Like that could be an upsell. That could be a totally separate product from what you typically do. Insurance clinics, just think it through. There's probably different upsells. It's easier probably to either downsell somebody or cross-sell an insurance model than it is to upsell. But if you're a cash-based PT, an upsell or even insurance, right? Like you can charge cash for a dietitian. If you have an in-house dietitian or you know somebody, like just create a bundle with it and boom, now you have an upsell. It's a diet plan, a workout plan, and something else. Easy upsell. Downsell is selling somebody more of the same stuff at a lesser price, but kind of like giving less of it, for instance. So what I mean by that, very simply put, is if we have like our program, 7-Figure Clinic, if instead of offering them the coaching calls and all that, if I just sell little modules from the course, that could be a downsell, like just one-off course sales, right? For PT insurance clinic, or for insurance clinics, PTs, med spas, and so on, there might be just a lesser service that you can offer somebody. It could be, for very simply put, a regular PT, cash guy, instead of selling a package, you just sell like 1 or 2 sessions, right? Like a basic downsell. Maybe go down a little bit in price. I don't know. You got to mess with that. Downsell might be a little bit harder. Cross-sell is going to be the easiest thing. Cross-sell is going to be, for insurance guys, this is simple, right? This is where you do your dry needling, right? Because it's a simple cross-sell, because it helps what you currently do. Easiest way to think about this is if you get a Coke, it's buying the soda with the Coke, right? Something that goes together. So for PT, it could be like doing dry needling. For chiro, you could sell them separately, maybe not an upsell, but like a weight loss plan, right? Just like something else that goes with it. I would totally create it into a big bundle and just make it a big upsell. But if you can't make it into one big upsell, just separate it all out and you can sell things off one by one. That's an easy way to do it too. Med spas that we work with, you guys have all sorts of shit. Like if you're not cross-selling people into different things that you have to offer, you're missing out on huge amounts of money and huge amounts of opportunity. Honestly, if you're a med spa that works with us, all you should be focusing, besides what they walk in the doors for, and besides upselling them into like a Juvederm or upselling them into a filler, it's like, do I have a laser hair removal machine? Stuff like that. Very simple. But for our PTs and chiros, really simply put, the cross-sell is your dry needling, your diet plans. I'm sure if I sat down with you and I said, like, what all did you learn in school or what are you certified on? And you can list out everything. It's like, cool. That's an offer. You can sell that. That's an offer. You can sell that, right? Just think about those things, because the more you could cross sell somebody, ultimately, once again, you can increase their lifetime value. So these are the 6 different ways. Number 1, increase the price. That's like the basic. Number 2 is reduce your costs. Number 3 is increase the number of purchases somebody does with you. 4, upsells. 5, downsells. 6, cross sells. Sit down and map out all 6 and be like, which of these 6 can I pull? What's one lever? Don't try to do all 6 at once, but focus on one. And as soon as you get one lever pulled, let's say it's just you're going to increase your price. Awesome. You increase your price next week. Sweet. You do that for a few weeks, you get more sales, Awesome. We just increase lifetime value. Now we're like, how do we increase the number of times someone shows up to our clinic? You work through that process for a few weeks. Awesome. We increased our price. They're showing up more often. We just jacked up their lifetime value by basically double just by doing those 2 things. So sit there and map this out, and you have a plethora of possibilities to do. With that said, guys, I'm going to just check my phone one more time to see if anyone has any questions. Any questions? Going once, twice, 3 times. You can ask questions in the comments, shoot them below, and I will respond. Take it easy, guys. Everyone enjoy your Friday.